Hello and welcome to yet another episode of Smart Indian Agriculture on TheFederal.com. I am Vivian Fernandez. Our guest is Ajai Rana, Managing Director and CEO of Savannah Seeds and newly elected Chairman of the Federation of Seed Industry of India. We are going to discuss what his priorities for FSII are and the challenges posed to the seed industry by the need to grow more from less inputs or from sustainable agriculture. Mr. Rana, thank you very much for making the time and welcome to this program.
Thank you, Vivian. My pleasure to be on your program and opportunity to interact with your audience.
Mr. Rana, the challenges for agriculture in India are well known. We need to produce more of pulses in which we are nearly self-sufficient. We need to produce more of oilseeds in which we are largely import dependent. And we also need to produce more food grains, more nutritious food grains, I would say, in a sustainable manner, which means we need to produce more with less inputs, unlike in the Green Revolution, where we were producing more with more inputs. But now we need to reduce emissions, we need to reduce the carbon footprint, we need to reduce water usage. So we need to grow them in a sustainable manner. Are these priorities of the nation also the priorities of FSII?
We have about 50 members, and these member companies, they contribute nearly 60% of the private sector seed market in India, and they contribute nearly 70% of the R&D spend on seeds. All our member companies, they invest nearly 10% of their top line or revenue on research and development. One of the, in fact, like for the new team, which has just taken over as office bearer, including myself and my, they're like two co-chairmen and finance director and the board member. For us, the key priority is, in fact, like how can we bring a more sustainable solution for Indian agriculture. Seed is the major carrier of any new technology, Vivian. If you look at like seed revolution brought the green revolution in country with the introduction of dwarf varieties in the early 70s. And this is when, like, in fact, like two of the oldest seed companies, they are nearly, I think the oldest seed company in India from private sector is Mahiko. They are now nearly 60-year-old. And Rasi Seeds is about 50 years. So at the same time, like I'll say, like during the time of Green Revolution, the private seed industry in India was born. And I think till 80s, there were very few players, but in 90s, there was an explosion. I'll say like a lot of Indian companies, Indo-American, then came Nozevido Seeds and several companies.
That is because the seed industry was deregulated.
Yeah.
No, the point is that we had the Green Revolution, but the transition to the Gene Revolution has not happened. And we believe that sustainable agriculture requires more investment in agricultural biotechnology, in genetically modified seeds, in gene-edited seeds, and also market-assisted breeding and so on. But if you look at India's regulation, they have not caught up. And only in October last year was GM mustard hybrid developed by Delhi University scientists approved for cultivation after a gap of about 21 years when BT cotton was approved in 2002. This is the second GM mustard was the second food crop to be approved. But isn't it right to say that even though you spend about 70% of total agricultural R&D in this country, agricultural biotechnology is virtually in a freeze?
Yes. So India has only seen introduction of two biotech or GM traits in the country, which is Bolgard 1 and Bolgard 2, which were introduced in 2002, and BZ2, I think it was introduced in 2008 or 9. After that, India has not released or approved any GM trait. On GM side, we have not seen any introduction of new trait or technology since Bolgard 2. But on biotech, I think there are developments happening, like many seed companies have developed disease and insect tolerant varieties. Also, public sector has developed.
But the point is that the FSSI, the Federation of Seed Industry of India, was born
Yeah.
in acrimony in 2016 when it broke away from the National Seed Association of India over the issue of patenting and price controls.
Yes, agriculture is a very political subject, and of course, government intervene time to time to ensure like the cost of cultivation for farmer, doesn't go high, and the farming is profitable. But farmer is not naive. Even a smallholder farmer, if you look at like our most of our vegetable farmer in the country are smallholders, and they all are in crops like tomato, brinjal, chilies. Mostly they are using hybrids, and the price of these hybrids are in fact like very high. Sometimes like some of the tomato varieties are like more expensive, people say, than the precious metals. But the returns
Can you
on
give us an
investment
idea
are
about the price of these seeds, tomato, for example?
so yeah. Some of the tomato hybrids are like they sell in grams. Vivian, the 10 gram for 1 acre, and that the 10 gram can cost a farmer like 3,000, 4,000 rupees. But the productivity, the return on investment is very high. So farmer repeat purchase of any seed or brand only if they have return on investment. So in vegetable, farmers have adopted hybrid technology in all major crops. In cotton, farmers moved from varietal seed to hybrids within a span of 5 years when they saw like that they have a greater return of investment. In fact, like it was like 1:4. If farmer is spending 1 rupees incremental, the return is 4 rupees. So farmer take the decision on buying a seed based on like either they have seen a demonstration or trial or performance of the seed, or a fellow farmer has adopted this new seed and they have seen the benefits. If the seed is not,
So, no,
the
so what you're trying to say is that price controls do not matter to farmers so long as they can get a more than
yes,
proportionate return. Now, the
yes,
point is
yes.
that have you been able to impress this upon the government? Because within the seed industry, there has been a patch up. FSII and NSAI have patched up. Now, have you been able to present a common front to the government? And have you been able to convince the government that price controls are redundant?
I'll not call it like patch up because the values and mission of NSAI and values and mission of FSI, there are differences. But like on one point we are together is how can we bring new technologies to the country for the benefit of Indian farmers now, and also like how can we improve the governance in seed sector. When I say
Mhm.
governance, it is about ease of doing business, because there are like a lot of regulations, Vivian. Uh, for developing a new variety or hybrid, it takes a seed company 7 years, and then after 7 years, it takes another 3 years to get it tested with the state universities, which is a requirement by most of the states. So, which means like farmer will get access to a new technology after 10 years. We need
Now you
to,
spoke about new technology, and your
yeah,
own company, Savannah Seeds, has has introduced herbicide tolerant rice, which is good for direct seeding of rice.
yeah.
It is much more labor saving, and also there is a saving of water compared to transplanted rice in puddled conditions. Now,
Yeah.
how are you able to recover the cost of your own R&D investment and make a profit on it? Because I mean, this is a broad acre crop. I would imagine that you are selling hybrids and not open pollinated varieties which farmers can save and sow.
So, Vivian, we are introducing this technology in hybrids, but like we are one of the unique player. We also have a very large varietal portfolio also. But this technology, since it's a double stack, they're like two mutant. It is first. Let me clarify. It is a native trait. In fact, like you can develop herbicide tolerance without GM. Also, it is developed through mutation breeding. So there's no foreign gene or is involved in this. So this technology has been in US for almost 20 years. We were the first company to commercialize it in US, and now we have a double stack, which we when we make the hybrid, there's one gene on male, one gene on female, and the hybrid has the herbicide tolerance. And what the mutant does is, in fact, like there's complete crop safety. when farmers sprays this herbicide, imazethyper. Otherwise, imazethyper is not selective for rice. If you spray imazethyper on a normal variety of rice, which doesn't have this gene or mutant, it will burn it also. But with the double stack, it gives complete protection. Like, in fact, like a farmer by mistake sprays twice, it is very safe. There is not even yellowing. So the expression of the trait is very strong. And this technology will help in adoption of direct seeded rice, because as you mentioned earlier, like in Punjab, farmer adopted the direct seeded rice and then they came back to transplanted because they were not able to control weed. In transplanted or puddle rice, water flooded field also work as a herbicide. So farmer were not able to control weeds in direct seeding system, and there was yield penalty. In fact, like they were losing 10 to 20% yield, and they were spending more money on weed control. So as I said earlier, like with this technology, in fact, like farmer will have in fact, like net incremental value, which it will create, of course, tangible, which is saving of labor, saving of, fuel and machinery uses for, preparing the field, then irrigation water. And I'll say like also intangible, which is big peace of mind. And of course, their spending on the herbicide and the manual weed control will also reduce. So farmers are in fact like going to save anything between 8 to 12,000 rupees. It depends on which geography. In northern India, like about 8,000 rupees an acre by adopting direct seeded system with full page. In central India, like states like Chhattisgarh, there's a big problem of wild rice. They're like wild species of rice, because this part of the country, they grow rice after rice. So there are like many wild varieties which are like weed. Farmer cannot identify them until they come to flowering, and they also have small seed, and this seed again spread, and farmer are spending a lot of money on manual labor and using 2 or 3 herbicides, but still, since it is a rice species, they're not able to control it.
Despite all the gains
Yes.
of about 8,000 rupees per acre with direct seeded rice, what we find in Punjab is that in 2021, 5.62 lakh hectares was under direct seeded rice. And according to Indian Express, last year, only 80,000 hectares came under direct seeded rice. Why has there been such a big slide?
So you need the right genetics, then you need a certain seed treatment, or I'll say coating on the seed, which can provide nutrient and fungicide, insecticide protection and nutrition to the crop initially. Then you need to change the agronomic package. The fertilizer application need to be moved forward. And the fourth one is weed control system. So I call it a like full page cropping solution, which is a complete system. And this is how we have to promote direct seeded rice. Otherwise, like farmer, if they don't have a good experience, from 2 million, it dropped to 2 lakh acres because of.
Is that because they were growing rice which was not herbicide tolerant?
Yes, it was not herbicide tolerant. They were using conventional herbicides, Vivian. They were using 1 pre-emergent herbicide, and then they were using 2 post-emergent herbicide for controlling weeds. And even after that, they had to deploy manual labor to remove the weeds. So still, they were not able to control weeds. And if there is a weed competition, you can lose up to 20, 30% yield. And farmers, they don't like one thing, any yield penalty with the new technology, they're not going to repeat it. So
that's right.
So what we are ensuring is like that they are going to harvest same yield which they were harvesting with the transplanted or puddle rice, or even better. But at least benchmarking on
apart from herbicide tolerance, what traits should direct seeded rice seeds have so that they're suitable for this method of cultivation as compared to transplanted rice?
Yeah. So when you go for direct seeding, Vivian, what happens is like your seeding rate, you see more plant population. In fact, like when farmer transplant it, and the transplanting farmer pays by acre. The labor contractor, they are paid by acres. So usually what happens, like the labor will not transplant more than 15, 20 plants in 1 square meter. In direct seeding, your plant population goes up to 40. So you need varieties or hybrid which are suitable for higher plant population. So the plant architecture has to be erect. The flag leaf has to be erect. So there's aeration, and then the tillering happens even in those conditions. Then you need a stronger root system. So because there is no standing water, you need a stronger root system. So the plant can, in fact, uh, uh, then capture moisture and the nutrients. The third one is lodging tolerance. So what happens is, like, when you increase the plant population, there's a tendency of any plant species to grow taller. And if it grows taller, it will lodge. The lodging
It'll become
tolerance,
weaker,
or like,
yes.
yeah. So semi-dwarf varieties or hybrids are required. And then intervention of seed treatment is a big addition. So because lighter soil has ferrous deficiency, but we can load these micronutrients and fungicide and some insecticide to protect the crop and provide nutrition at the initial stage.
So wherever you have introduced your variety, have the farmers accepted it and have they continued with it? I mean, because that's the most important thing. They should not go back.
So yeah. So for this full page, which is for direct seeding, we'll be introducing in 2024, Vivian. But like, we have introduced several new varieties. In fact, like, we have introduced varieties or hybrid which are suitable for this direct seeding system, but they were without the herbicide tolerance trait.
Mhm. Now, you said that this technology has been there in the US for 20 years. And
Yeah.
in which case, why are you introducing it in India only in 2024? Is it because some trials have to be undertaken?
Yes. So trials have to be undertaken for, in fact, like, suitability of the variety or hybrid, Vivian. But since it is a breeding trait, you don't need an approval like the GEC for like the GM. So there's not such approval is required. But for herbicide registration, there are like 2 years trials, and then residue studies are required. So we are a seed company. We have a herbicide partner. The herbicide partner, they did all those herbicide label expansion studies for 2 years with 3 different ICR institutes. And they compiled all the data and submitted to CIBRC, Central Insecticide Board and Registration Committee. The label expansion is granted. There's one more approval is pending right now, which is from FSSAI, that they fixes the maximum residue limit for any new chemistry in a crop. This chemistry is not new. This chemistry is always there, been in soybean. But for rice, this is the first time an approval is coming. And also the approval, the label expansion has to mention that it is for herbicide tolerant rice only with full page trait. So
now the Indian Agriculture Research Institute has also developed basmati varieties that are resistant to the herbicide imazethapir. Is it
yeah.
the same technology as yours?
So their event, we call it event or mutant. Their mutant is different than ours, Vivian. I understand that they have one mutant, since this is in a variety, and the location of the mutant and the the protein which eventually lead to herbicide tolerance in the plant system is different. The enzyme it produces is different than what we have.
Now, you mentioned earlier on that you don't only sell hybrids, you also sell open pollinated varieties. Now, in
Yes.
that case, how do you recover the money? Because in the case of hybrids, when you sell hybrids, farmers have to come back to you year after year to buy the seed. If you sell open pollinated varieties, they can save the grain and use it for sowing. So, how do you recover the money?
Good question. Very good question, Vivian. In fact, like, my board and the owners, they also always ask this question. So, I think the good news is, like, farmer understand the value of buying a new seed every year, because if farmers save the seed, their own saved seed is not cleaned, processed, treated, and not tested for germination and initial vigor. So a lot of farmers now understand the value of buying new seed from a seed company or public sector, and the seed replacement rate is growing. Like our 2 large crop, rice and wheat, the seed replacement rate, which we call SRR, is growing, and more than 50% of the farmer in both these crops are buying new seed every year. Still, like 40-50% farmers save, but like they also rotate after every second or third year, they will go and buy a new seed, and then we'll say 1 or 2 seasons, and then again buy. But the SRR, which used to be like 10-15% in both the crops 20 years ago, is now more than 50%. So yeah, that in fact like gives us, we both these crops are so big. Rice is 110 million acres, and wheat is nearly 75 million acres. Still, if 50% farmer come and buy fresh seed, you still have a lot of acres and a lot of customers.
Yeah. So the private sector has so far been concentrating on seeds of commercial crops, cotton, vegetables, fruits, horticultural crops, some amount of bajra hybrids and sorghum hybrids. But they have not been present so much into rice, open pollinated varieties, or wheat. Is that going to change? Are they going to invest more, let's say, in pulses and oil seeds as well?
Mustard, the private sector is the major contributor for hybrids as well as varieties. On pulses, in fact, like we had meeting with the government of India. There's in fact like discussions going on, and some of our member companies are considering entering into pulses. In fact, like some useful trade can be bring in pulses too. But yeah, currently there are not many private companies in pulses sector. It's an opportunity, but which I think jointly both public as well as private sector, we are looking into that.
What is the reason for the low adoption of hybrid rice in India compared to China?
A very good question, Vivian. So China has nearly 45-50% hybrid. US has 70% hybrid, and even now I think Bangladesh has about 12 or 14%. Bangladesh hybrid adoption is growing faster. So these were, I think, the hybrids were delivering 20% yield gain in certain segment like long cylinder. This is where the hybrid adoption happened in UP, Bihar, Chhattisgarh, as well as Jharkhand. In Punjab, the yield gains were not 20%. Now the new hybrids are delivering 15-20% yield gain. So Punjab, Haryana will also see adoption of hybrids. And South will see adoption of hybrid when more medium cylinder hybrids will come, because the consumer preference also plays a big role.
I heard you say at one of the workshops organized by an industry chamber that Bangladesh has higher rice productivity than India. In India, Punjab has the highest rice productivity, but Punjab grows rice using groundwater. Now, why can't, let's say, West Bengal have the same productivity as Bangladesh?
Yes, Vivian. Our national average is still around 4 tons per hectare, and Bangladesh is around 4.5. So, but like that's the data and that's the statistics. So we have Punjab, which is like even 7 tons. Even in South, like Andhra and Telangana has higher productivity. They're like around 6-7 tons. But like large part in East, Bihar, Bengal, and Odisha, and Jharkhand, and Northeast, also we grow a lot of rice, and that brings down the average. So the productivity is, in fact, like is a factor of 4-5 things, Vivian, and then we can improve productivity. You need good seed. In fact, like the genetics should have yield potential. Then comes crop management. The right from raising the nursery or like direct sowing, application of fertilizer, weed control, application of insecticide, fungicide to control, the insect or diseases. So it's a combination of, good genetics and crop agronomy. I think we should have program in the Eastern India on a block level, like what is the average yield of this block, and we take the average yield to this level. I think we need a rice mission in this country. We don't have to, cultivate rice in 110 million acres. We can reduce rice acreage to 70 million acres and still produce more. My own, conviction is like, hey, we can take India's productivity to 7 tons, where China is today. Then from 110 million tons, if we average productivity is, in fact, like 42 million hectare into 7, we will be producing like more than 250 million tons of rice. And today we produce around 140 unmilled. So I think since rice is 1/3 of our agriculture, we need a rice mission, and FSII seed sector seed companies would be more than happy to collaborate with the state government, central government to change this productivity.
And finally, we had a guest on this show some time back, Swati Nayak, who won the Norman Borlaug Award for Field Application and Research. Now, she was saying that she won the award because she was acting as a bridge between research institutions and smallholder farmers in enabling them to produce quality seed locally in Eastern India. And this is mainly rice seed. Now, she was saying that more than 50% of smallholder farmers in Eastern India are outside the formal seed supply chain. Why is that?
So we've been, we are a very vast country. We have 750,000 villages, close to that. From Swati's, observation, I partially agree and partially disagree also. When you have 750,000 villages, still, I think till a few years ago, not all the villages even didn't have electricity also, or roads. So maybe some very remote part of the country, the dealer network is not there. But like I can speak for seed industry. Seed industry has more than about 200,000 dealers all across the country. So which means like on every third or fourth village there is a seed dealer. And the public sector also, in fact, like all the state seed corporations, universities, they also have program to provide seeds. So saying that like 50% of the smallholder don't have access to quality seed, I think I don't agree with that. Maybe 20%, 15% still don't have. And we, in fact, like this is where we would like to collaborate even with IRRI if IRRI has identified such geographies, or state governments. So FSSI as well as other seed association would be, in fact, like more than happy to create a distribution network in the remotest part of the country, so that farmer has access to seed. But I'll also share one, in fact, like other thing, like in many part of the Bihar, it still has, the connectivity is not very good, because especially in the monsoon season, farmers have to travel by boats covering rivers, etc. But seed is something. If farmer like a variety or hybrid, they travel 200 kilometers to come and buy the seed. And I have seen that happening in my career. In fact, now it is not so. Now the access to the seed, or every small mandi or town has dealers. It used to be 200 kilometers. In fact, like for hybrid corn, farmer used to come and buy from such long distance. I'll say now this is like not more than 20, 30 kilometers. But having said that, I think still there are opportunities, and there are companies. In fact, like in our Federation of Seed Industry, they have one large company has a dedicated program for smallholders. They're expanding the retailer network. We are also collaborating with such companies, in fact, like to provide our open pollinated varietal seeds through their network.
All right. On that note, Ajai Rana, thank you very much for sparing the time.
Subscribe to the Federal's YouTube page for more news and updates.